For every action, there is an equal but opposite reaction. She's not doing it from out of the blue. Because she did not do that on the wedding day.
So this man is coming home feeling entitled because he's coming from work. But she's also been at home doing work, or she's also been at work. So if he's coming looking for a subservient woman because he's paid the bills, he's going to be in for a shock. Because we've seen this, that some men, all they have is money.
And that's all they're showing. That's all they're bringing to the table.
And unfortunately, because of the poverty of soul currently prevalent in our generation, women have also come to a place where that is, for as long as they get anyway, that,
for them,
for as long as they can get the money, then they are good. But unfortunately, we are seeing many situations where the woman is getting the money from one side, but getting the love from
the other side.
Which means there is a need for love. Because if money was everything, then that would be enough. But you'd find, for example, a sex worker with a boyfriend. You get?
Does the boyfriend know?
Some do know and encourage. That takes a different level of maturity. But I'm talking about the different needs of
the valid needs that are available for both.
So this man is coming home expecting respect, expecting to be treated like a king, expected to be called my lord, to have his shoes untied,
and his feet washed like Jesus Christ washed the disciples.
Thank you. Now, what I'm saying is that woman might be acting like that on that day, but she did not start like that. So you have to go back and ask yourself, when did things change? When
there's a certain point T,
and then you have to be realistic as a man and say, what did I do to make my wife stop running to me?
So when we come back from the break, because we've been talking about the women a lot, right? Even from the beginning. But we need to turn this thing on its head and talk about the man and what is his place in terms of being the king that he wants to be, or the lord that he wants to be, immediately after the break.
Awesome.
Welcome to The Solutions Nuggets, a reflection on societal issues where men are involved in one way or another.
Hello world. I welcome you to the Solutions Reflections here on Solid Jamas. And today my reflection goes back to words. Even as we contemplate the conversation of submission that seems to be getting the world worked up, with women rising up in arms against men who they call chauvinistic and patriarchal, in a community and in a world where men seem to be elevated above everyone else, the unfortunate thing is where we as men tend to use that power that we have been given and the authority that we have as men, instead of lifting up, to put down others and to trample on them. And one of the most common ways that we as men put down others, especially our partners and eventually even our children, is words. In my research and in my studies, I've come to believe that when you look at the problems of the world, because a lot of them stem from home, you'll find that the root of those problems is words. And we are told in Proverbs chapter 15 that when words are sweet, it makes learning easy. And there is no easier way to get to the heart of the people around us than speaking words that build. And my reflection today is asking you as a Solid Jama, what words are you speaking? What words are you saying to your spouse, about your spouse, to your children, about your children? Because believe it or not, life and death lie in the power of the tongue. An idle word, a careless word, has power and potential to destroy people's lives beyond what you can imagine. People grow up fighting demons which were invited into our lives simply by a careless word. And that is why the Bible tells us that men, love your wives, even as Christ loved the church, that he gave himself for it and continues to wash it with words that he might bring it to himself perfect and without spot. And this is the wisdom, that it is in the power of every man's tongue to create the family, the marriage, the spouse, the children that he wants to see. Today I want to encourage you to be generous with good words, to be generous with kind words, because words build as much as words destroy. So if it is up to you, if you want to see change, if you want to see growth, let there be grace in your tongue as a king of your house. And we do this always compelled by love for God and our country. Blessings.
This has been the Solutions Nuggets here on a Solid Jamaz. Alright, we're back from the break and we are talking about this important topic of submission. Some men have been wanting or desiring that their women will submit to them and call them my lord, and they shall just humble themselves before them and so on. Some are saying it's a desirable thing, that that's what they want, that's what they will desire and so on. So let us help these men, because it is not for free. It doesn't come out of the blue. The woman, like we've said, is not an automated attitude giving machine. She is a human being just like I am. One of the feedback that came from the social media page that I posted on was that the man who wants to be addressed as a king has to behave like a king.
It's easy to say.
But what's your take? What's your take on that one?
I agree.
Yeah. That there's a responsibility on my part as a man.
Yes.
In fact, I should not even be demanding for that to happen.
As a king, you are in charge of a certain domain. My friend. As a king, you're in charge of a certain domain. You have to lead or rule in that domain. And you said, I keep coming back to the word lead rather than rule or rule.
Lord or
you get? You can lord over something, and that is to put a load on somebody.
Because you're using positional authority.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Or you can lead somebody.
Because you're using nurturing, growing authority.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So if you lead, you grow your spouse. If you load, you burden your spouse.
And there's no way she's gonna call you, because this is not like a king subject relationship. There's no way she's gonna call you a king when she's low.
Are tiring.
Yeah. Earlier on you said she's tired and she can't, even if she wanted, even if she has that submissive spirit and she's calling you my lord the king and so on and so forth, at some point in time she malfunctions if she's not receiving something from your end.
I have counseled women and men who are at a brink of breaking up. And when I listen to them, what I hear them saying is something that I felt before, even as I went through a marriage breakdown before. A certain sense of fatigue and tiredness. Yeah. And this is what I tell them.
It's like a ground that has been receiving rain and it's not giving anything back.
And then they're just dry.
Drained.
They're drained. There's nothing in them. And you know what's strange is that emotional feeling of dryness has an impact on our physical being. The Bible says that a crushed spirit
Crushes the bones, something like that.
Yes.
Bones.
And then a bitter woman is like cancer to the bones. So are you seeing that this negative emotional funk that we allow to grow in our relationships because we don't tend to them ends up having a price on us physically? So you find a man married a woman and she was beautiful, she was great, and then a few years down the road, not many years, she's like in 3 years, she's now looking.
She looks like haggard, and she's
haggard.
like 10 years older.
I get
her
it.
age.
And when I analyze that psychological situation and that space, you will find that there are people who have been starved while also being overworked.
You know, you're saying something very powerful. I had people saying, and I think it's true also, that if you wanted to, maybe it's you who said, if you wanted to know the health of a marriage, something like that, you look at the countenance and the appearance
of the wife,
of the woman.
Because the woman is the mirror of a man's heart. So if his heart is hard, if his heart is stiff, then you know what's going to happen? It's going to be like a clogged well. Jesus said that out of the fullness of the heart,
the mouth speaks.
The mouth speaks, and that brings me to what is the real role of
the
king
man.
And the man.
The stock.
And this is to decree things into being.
Yeah.
To use his tongue. Because the Bible tells us that husbands, love your wives, even as Christ loved the church, giving himself. The first thing we learn is, as a husband, being willing to give yourself.
So when you talk about giving yourself, because the ultimate giving himself when it comes to Christ is basically death for someone else or for other people who don't even deserve. So there is an idea of it's not a transactional thing.
It is
the people who Christ died
matter
for.
To yourself.
Yeah, that's it. The people who Christ died for did not deserve for them to die for him, but he did die for them anyway.
That's an intentional Jama.
So the Sodi Jama who is thinking that he should be called a king and a lord and so on and so forth, he should actually look at him, elevate himself so high to the extent that the wife doesn't have to give him stuff so that he becomes king.
Thank you.
He is king. He is the Lord. He doesn't have to be reminded.
So remember, this is a heart issue.
On both sides, it's a heart issue.
But now we're talking about the men.
Yeah.
So if as a man your heart has been hardened, you know what you'll not do? You will not speak.
You keep quiet.
And if you do not speak, you know what's going to happen? Your wife is going to shrink. Why? Because the straightest way to a woman's heart is through her ears. That's why the Bible says, washing her.
My goodness.
He washes her with words.
Let me ask you this question, my friend. Do you have to feel, remember going back to the intentionality and the discipline, do you have to feel to be able to wash her with words?
We've talked about physiology and psychology.
Yeah.
Right? That psychology precedes physiology.
And sometimes your physiology can change your psychology.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For those who are lost, that how you feel sometimes follows how you think. And sometimes how you think creates how you feel. Or the other way around. So what I'm saying is this. If you don't feel like speaking, you might not speak. But if you feel like speaking, you will speak. But then the trick to change the situation is to do the thing that needs to be done even when you don't feel it. And that is what breaks the cycle. So this is what I'm telling you. You look at your wife. And this one I need you to understand it very clearly. That because no one is perfect, people be at most 80%. And you've heard of the Pareto rule?
Yeah, 20 and 18.
Yes, where people will leave the 80% to go and look for the 20% that their partners don't have. The revelation I've come to is this. That the 20% is always
a gift